closely affected our entire lives, and e-commerce sales undoubtedly increased. They were up by 68% mid-April. And what's interesting is this is expected to stay there because once consumers are comfortable making purchases from home, they don't want to give up that convenience, particularly for industries like furniture, apparel, shoes, toys, and more. And with that in mind, if you're a business, you need to be improving your e-commerce site. And one way to do that is with 3D. Having a 3D version of your product on your website has proven to double conversion rates and reduce returns by 40%. That is massive to the bottom line. Companies like IKEA that have implemented this early saw a 30% revenue increase. This is real money. In addition, if you take that one step further and use augmented reality to place those items in your home, like virtual try-on, House saw that customers were 11 times more likely to make that purchase. That is huge. Everyone should be doing this if your goal is to sell more online. And then the education piece. We know XR improves learning. It increases learning quality and retention by 75%, performance improvement by 70%, and reduction in training time by 40%. If you are a marketer or advertiser and your goal is to get people to remember and understand your brand, XR is the way to go. And consumers want AR shopping. The Artillery Intelligence did this study actually pre-COVID, which I think is important because I'll be really interested when studies come out post-COVID. But before the situation, about a third of consumers had actually tried mobile AR. 73% of those people, though, were satisfied or very satisfied. They loved it. Only about 10% of people had tried AR or VR while shopping, but 45% said they would like to try it. And 30% of consumers, this is the huge one, said if they could use this technology to make the right purchase at home with confidence, they would never go back into a retail store. That is massive. This is the future, and we have to be prepared, and you need to start having a 3D strategy now to be able to capitalize on this. And it doesn't have to be totally custom. There are plenty of platforms out there today that you can utilize without building completely custom apps or websites. Snap Camera is one of them. Snap Camera is not just for the app on your phone. It also works with Zoom, Twitch, Google Hangouts, Skype, and more. So you can actually have filters on all of these different digital landscapes. And they have pre-built experiences. So you can download Lens Studio, it's totally free, and you don't need to be a developer. They have completely pre-built experiences like face try-on, object appearing, spinning, that you can just drag and drop and create things now. You can also import your own 3D assets so you can have a 3D model of your product. Now they have their specific file requirements. For Snap, it has to be an FBX, an OBJ, or a GLTF. However, animations don't work with OBJ, so I would say to stick with the FBX or GLTF file. Max 5,000 polygons or 10,000 triangles. The mesh has to be triangulated, and it has to have a UV map and textures. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's okay. A 3D artist would know all these terms, so anyone in your company who designs in 3D would understand this. Facebook and Instagram is another huge platform with obviously millions of users that also has these kind of pre-built AR filters. You can download Spark AR. That was the company that they bought that is very, very similar to Lens Studio. I'll tell you, if you download both, it's almost identical. But they also have these pre-built filters so that it makes it really easy. You don't need to be a developer to create this sort of thing. You do have to have a Facebook account and an Instagram account, and they need to be linked. They could be personal or business, doesn't matter. And once you create that filter, anyone who follows you can have access to do it. This is another great way to encourage people to follow you and get more followers, because once you post a filter, and if it's that fun, you can advertise it and say link in bio and get people to come to your page and follow. Now, just some facts about the audience that you're going to be reaching on Instagram. About a third of all stories that are watched are from businesses. So if you're watching stories, every third one is a business, which is a huge opportunity for discovery. 60% of people on Instagram are generally in the age of 18 to 29. So it is a younger audience if that's the demographic that you're going after. 50% of people say they discover new products on Instagram. I'm one of them. My impulse shopping is all through Instagram. There are about 200 million Instagrammers visit a business profile daily. Again, it is a huge opportunity for discovery. And there's been an 80% increase in time spent watching video on Instagram, which is pretty massive. And again, these facts were pre-COVID. The Future Party released a study that was during the beginning of quarantine that saw Instagram story views jump by 21% week over week. Everyone is coping through Instagram apparently, and it'll be really interesting to see if these numbers continue to hold as we come out of this. Now with Facebook, you can also import your own 3D assets. So you can have filters with 3D products. They accept a lot of different file formats. Again, the most common you'll see is FBX and GLTF. They do have restriction on size of textures. Their polygon count limit is 50,000. And they really suggest you to stay under the 2 megabytes size for the entire filter. You can go larger, it's just really gonna affect your performance on the different platforms. And then a lot of people today don't realize you can actually advertise in 3D on Google today with Google Swirl. Imagine scrolling through and seeing a 3D version of that New Balance shoe instead of all the text when you're shopping. You can actually use Google Poly to edit 3D models, or you can import your own. And once it's there, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, rotate the product, play an animation, which all has been proven to increase engagement significantly. Now, if you have a 3D asset, Google is one of the most restrictive on the type of assets that they accept. So for them, it can be GLTF, OBJ, or FBX. You're hearing repetitive. I hope for them, the polygon count has to be under 12,000. They have restrictions on textures. The materials must be PBR. Total asset size, also 2 megabytes, but you have to have a single UV set per mesh. And they also have a bone limit per vertex of 4, and the list goes on. So Google is one of the most restricted on the type of 3D assets that you can use. And then there's Unity, which everyone here knows and loves. I think most people here, if we did a poll, raise your hand, have used it. I mean, it's used for 50% of all new mobile games, and 60% of all AR, VR is built on Unity, which is pretty massive. Obviously, many of you monetize through the developer ad network. Their platform reaches 1.9 billion devices, and they serve about 1.1 million video views per month. Right now, their ads are in 2D videos, but it's moving towards 3D. And they've seen huge engagement. Again, about 50% engagement in ads that have 3D. That is insanely high over the norm. And last, I want to leave you with mobile. So if you are a brand that has your own mobile app and you have a significant user base, because most of the time people don't want to download apps, you can use existing SDKs like Viking or Wannabe to do shoe try-on or other types of AR try-on at home. Everything else I showed you with the platform is really web-based. And so web is just not powerful enough today to do the try-on. So you do need to have an app to do this. And the file types that you need for iOS are USDZ, and for Android, you need the GLTF. So all of this is kind of for advertising and being able to engage consumers and reach out to them and have something more exciting in 3D. But then we come to virtual events. This one is an incredible one that was put together. And I just want to go over a few different platforms out there that are truly amazing, that can be way more exciting than just a Zoom. The first is the Echo. This is by Event Farm in Verbella. They launched this 1 month into quarantine. It was amazing how they turned this around. And this is like a 3D space that you can use your mouse to walk around. And it's not in VR, so it's for Macs and PCs. So anybody with a computer can do this, which is what I think is so great. The better your graphics card and storage, obviously the better the performance. But you actually kind of feel like you're there and that you're watching someone perform on stage or give a talk. And you can actually walk around, and if you walk up to someone, can have a conversation just between the two of you. The audio is spatial. So just as you'd walk around a conference and meet people, you can actually do that with the Echo. A couple weeks ago, they actually did the first ever multi-stage live stream music festival. It was amazing. It was very much set up like Coachella with multiple stages, and you could walk around with your digital avatar. It was a lot of fun. Definitely made my Saturday better. The next one is AltSpace VR. So I don't know how many of you have tried AltSpace. I actually did my first ever talk in VR in AltSpace a couple weeks ago, which was really fun. And this can work with a variety of different headsets, but what's really great is you also don't have to have a headset. You can use a PC computer. The only downside is it does not work on Mac. So if you were to hold an event in AltSpace VR, all of your attendees need to have a PC or a headset. This was the event that I did with Verizon 5G Lab and the WXR Fund. So you can see the two avatars on stage giving a talk, all the avatars in the audience. And those two hats we actually brought into our software. So that's for Dignitas, their big esports team, and they've got lots of swag. And of course, they should be selling their swag in 3D because they're an esports team. And so with our software, we're helping them do that. So we brought it into AltSpace to show off, and there's 3D on their website. Now, if you want to bring in 3D assets into AltSpace, you have two options. It can be a GLTF under 100,000 polygons, or it could be a Unity asset bundle. Really no hard limit. Again, the smaller it is, the better performance it's going to have. And last is VR Chat, which is one of my favorite. I am part of a group called the XR Social Club, and we meet in VR every Wednesday night, and we were doing this pre-quarantine. During quarantine, it's been amazing because I feel like I'm actually hanging out with some of my friends at underwater bars and on pirate ships, and it's just so much fun. There's so many different worlds. I think VR Chat has the most worlds already existing than any other VR social experience, so I would definitely recommend checking it out. With VR Chat, if you want to bring in your own 3D assets, they can accept a number of different file types. Again, you'll see FBX, GLTF is kind of the two main. And again, they really have no set requirements here, but the smaller it is, the better it will perform. So as you've seen, the 3D assets are kind of all over the place. It's not like we have JPEG and PNG for the 2D pictures. With 3D, there is no standard yet. We are working closely with Khronos Group, as I'm sure many of you are, to really create the JPEG of 3D and do that with GLTF. They're doing amazing work and to get there, but even once we have GLTF as the golden standard, there's still a lot of existing software programs out there that people use. So how do you get started? The first question to ask is to go, if your company creates a product, is to go to your manufacturing or designing group and say, do you design with any of these programs? If you're in retail, the common 3D design programs are Clo, Optitext, and Browseware. If you're more industrial, like auto or anything at Home Depot, it's usually Autodesk or SolidWorks. Lots of jewelry companies design in Rhino, which we work with a number of them. And then you kind of have the general design softwares, Adobe Substance, Maya, and 3ds Max. All of these create 3D assets. They're just all not necessarily in the right formats that you need, but this is the best place to start because if you have a 3D asset, it's easier to fit it into what you need. If they say, no, we don't have any of this, I don't know what you're talking about, that's okay too. We can actually do 3D scanning now, and it's come such a long way. We work with companies like Third and Rakester and Simulated Ventures that do amazing work. I will say with 3D scanning though, you still cannot do transparency well. So glasses, shiny things, jewelry does not work as well with 3D scanning, but shoes, purses, accessories, clothing, people, all really great. So these are kind of the two places you can start. Once you have that 3D asset, as you've seen in all of my previous slides, everybody kind of has their own requirements and it needs to be small. So the issue is with those original design files or those original scans is those files are massive. If you look at this couch on the left, it's almost 200 megabytes in size and 8 million triangles. 8 million is way above, I think Google's was 12,000 polygons we had to be under, right? So way too big. So normally 3D artists have to sit here and do tons of manual work. At VNTANA, we've been working with these assets for over 8 years and we've written a lot of software to help expedite and automate this process for ourselves. And now we've opened it up for people to use. So you can simply upload this asset to the VNTANA cloud platform, and we automatically optimize it and convert it to all the files that you need. So you can see this final couch is 3.5 megabytes, very small, and only 100,000 triangles. So it's about 2% of the original size that you had. And then we automatically create a 3D viewer that has built-in AR and simply copy and paste the iframe. So if you've ever used Vimeo for videos, it is just as simple as that. We try to make it really, really easy. Or you can also download all the 3D assets you need. We're also creating presets and integrations just to make this extremely simple. So if you want your 3D asset to be Facebook, Instagram ready, done. Snapchat as well, Unity and Google Ads, so you can easily advertise in 3D anywhere you want. And then we've also integrated with Shopify and SAP Commerce Cloud, so you can easily have your 3D asset omni-channel everywhere you need it, from your e-commerce site to your advertising to your social. And if you take away anything from me today, I want to say you need to have a cohesive 3D strategy to win. Oftentimes companies are siloed and the design team is not talking to the marketing team, and they might hire an agency to rebuild 3D assets that already exist. You need to be communicating and have one 3D asset that really is leveraged across the value chain, so that it goes from design to manufacturing. It's tied in with your ERP system that can track data on this asset no matter where it is and where it's going and what customers touch it, used in your marketing and in your e-commerce. So now I will leave you with something fun to try. So please scan the QR code. You can see this interactive 3D shoe. You can use the AR to place it on your table. But this is what we're talking about. It's super fun. A lot of people, I'm surprised actually, again, only a third of people have tried AR shopping. So please let me know and give feedback. And now I'll open it up for questions.